Now that the hammering on my house is done, it is time to go over Festival of the Lost and its basics. So, in case you were wondering, the first video I put out today was reset basically everything that happened in the world as usual. The second video is covering the cosmetics, and this is covering basically just how the event works and how to attain everything that's rewards or otherwise grindable for Festival of the Lost. So my assumptions were actually correct when I made the previous video. Not much has changed. The cycle of wearing a mask, playing activities to earn spectral pages, and then playing haunted lost sectors to turn them to manifested pages had stayed the same. And the general main goal of Festival of the Lost, at least in terms of the full grind, is to fill out all of these. Now, if you give me a moment to sort out the math, from the total, it seems that there's about 126 total manifested pages you need to completely fill the book. And now, let me specify this as well. This is this year's. Now, for lore reasons, there is the year before and the year before that, because there is lore cards that go with each of these. Now, as far as I know, you don't need to do the old years to finish this year's. Literally, it's just if you want to continue manifesting pages and clear out lore books, add Grimoire score, do whatever you want, that is all you need to do with the old books. Now, however, like I said, the process is simple. When you visit a Levante, she will give you a quest that is basically put on a mask. She'll give you a few spectral pages and she'll take you into haunted lost sectors, which, to put it blankly, is basically a PvE version of Control. You'll spawn in a lost sector, continue forward. Once you're in the general boss arena, a few domination or control style circles will spawn. Sit in it, stay for a while, and when you spawn, it'll spawn a headless horror, which will be essentially what is needed to convert manifested pages into spectral pages. Now, from this point, the activity goes on, and honestly, it's a bit slower compared to last years, because before, once you reached about 3 or 5 headless horrors defeated, the portals would spawn more often, there would be more on the ground, and there would be like 3 different locations at a time to spawn headless knights to manifest and get up to like 20 knights defeated. And then after that point, the final boss would appear. It's definitely slowed down, considering my run, it was never more than one at once until the boss phase, which I don't know if it's good or bad, considering you do get more knights at the end, but it's kind of hard to farm spectral pages to manifested as easily as it was before. Now, in terms of the boss fight, it's pretty simple. The boss spawns to do damage. It has 2 immune phases. During the immune phases, it'll spawn a few more summoning circles that you can kill more knights, and they'll drop bomb charges to drop the shield. Warning, these are incredibly explosive, so be cautious when using them. It's very easy to kind of delete yourself. And then from that point, that's where you earn manifested pages and new loot, which, like I mentioned before, is revamped versions of stuff we've seen before, but not the Braytech Werewolf that was left to dust. Now, aside from running the event and the event thing, there is one more detail going on with it, and that is the fact that there is the playlist version, which is basically the I want to grind out and convert pages, and then there is also the harder version, which is basically a individual lost sector that will rotate every couple of hours, so you don't have to worry about a daily rotation. There is the presence of surges as well as overload champions, so just keep an eye on that. But aside from that, it is 3-player co-op as usual, and you get a higher chance for premium loot, which I'm assuming is just Ascendant shards, exotic shards, everything higher tier, which from that point, as well as additional tales from the Book of the Forgotten. So it's possible that this is the way to farm out and do the pages conversions more quickly, but at the same time, I believe it won't have matchmaking, so you need to have the people to do it. Like, if you have the team to grind out lost sectors, I would just recommend doing this as opposed to doing the base version. But aside from that, there is, of course, the seal and the challenges. So when you visit a Levante, she'll have bounties as usual, but they aren't as needed for the event themselves. It's literally just candy and bright dust and XP for everything, but still would recommend doing it. And then you will see the focusing thing here. This is the important part. So this is the exotic decoding as mentioned before, which is simplified into legs, chest, head, and arms. So basically, if you just wanted to run a lost sector exotic and get a drop, you can go for it. Now, go to a This Week in Destiny that just dropped last week. It would specify the DLCs you need to own in order to unlock every individual thing. But as well, if you're like me and just have access to everything, it's basically just a pool to try and get everything you can from it. Then there is the Eerie Engram, which is basically just opening the engrams that you'll earn throughout Haunted Lost sectors. This is earned, and you can convert it to anything. It can become any of the Festival of the Lost weapons, which include the Stasis version of Horror Story, Solar, Jurassic Green, Arc Macabre and the Void Acosmic, which, like I said, still looks like it might be the worst of all the offerings. Then, as well, you can get a variety of materials from enhancement cores to prisms, as well as shards and even alloys. So this might actually be one of the best farms for materials, in addition to Double Nightfall Week, just because of the fact that you can get alloys, which really doesn't spawn in that many places nowadays. Not in comparison to shards, which you can get from literally everywhere. And if you want to spend a little bit extra and just farm the weapons, there is a variety of engrams from there. And if you wanted to as well, just buy the straight up weapons themselves. It is a little bit more expensive just directly, but there's that. That is pretty much all the focusing. Then if you also visit the rewards tab, you see the large portion of gear that you can get. You can, in case you ever dismantle the mask or the Masquerader's helm, basically what you need for this entire activity, you can always rebuy it. You don't have to wait for it to randomly drop again. As well as there is small mystery bags, which the epic mystery bags are a part of it, so keep some candy around in case you don't have any idea. And then as well, there is the Lost Mementos, which are acquired from the Twilight Triumph, and I guess they also start spawning from Festival of the Lost, and per the usual, unfortunately, not listening to my suggestion, they only stack one at a time, so every time you get one of these, I recommend diverting and planting them in case you want to make use of them. And then getting into the main challenge. So this is going to be the first part of the seal in case you haven't unlocked it before. So you'll have finished Cryptozoologist just naturally through the basic, how do I say this? The basic tutorial for this quest. It'll be guided, and you'll have clues to everything else. And the rest of the first page is basically everything that's filling out the pages. We're using manifested pages to turn books into chapters. They'll give you a shader incongruence, a Bungie reward code for Bungie rewards, as well as the exotic ship that is something unique to this thing, as well as some prisms. That's basically everything that's front page. And then there will also be Heads Will Roll for defeating headless ones in the Haunted Lost sectors. Pretty easy to do. You can get 8 to 10 in every thing, so maybe just run 10 or so, you'll have this done. And then earning candies from activities. It doesn't specify. It could be from strikes, from anything, from roaming about, but you earn candy from nearly anything when you're wearing the mask. So this becomes something trivial. It's just to be done whenever it's done. And then you also have horrific haunts for completing the higher difficulty, the set lost sectors that I mentioned to grind out with the team. And then you also have purchase epic mystery bags. Like I said, that's basically just getting candy and buying the thing. That'll go on its own throughout the event because you'll earn lots of candy naturally. And then you also have the pumpkin pelting, which all of these are basically use the same archetype as the weapon. So throughout the activity, you might want to equip a grenade launcher. It doesn't specify heavy or special, so go ahead and test the waters on that. Maybe bring Fighting Lion for an easy one. And then also auto rifles, I personally brought Sweet Business for that. Sniper rifles, I'll probably pick Cloud Strike or Darcy, something that has lots of ammo. And then for pulse rifles, I'll be going Outbreak Perfected, because that thing is probably still the most lethal pulse rifle in this game in terms of PvE. And then as well, there is the back end, which one is completing ritual activities. Basically, if you want to keep it easy, just run strikes while wearing a mask, just in case, because then you'll get more spectral pages. And then completing Crucible or Gambit while wearing a festival mask specifically. It is momentum control currently, which spices it up. I wouldn't be surprised if Mayhem shows back around to the back end of it, or maybe even an Iron Banner in case you just want a reason to be there. So hopefully a mode comes by that is a little easier to stomach. And then there's Happy Haunting Ground for completing Haunted Lost sectors. Of course, bonus progress for the higher difficulty ones as usual. And Focusing, which this is an easy one. Basically just focus an eerie engram. It's basically just focusing an engram, which I already explained how. And at that point, once you do everything, you'll have the final thing for Ghost Rider, which if you haven't unlocked it before, this will unlock it again. And then from that point, there will also be the gilding stuff. So if you've already done it like I have, you don't need to do the other activities aside from earning the random cosmetics and rewards from it. But at the same time, if you're literally just here to gild it, then you need to do these few quests. For defeating one of many, defeat all the headless ones and the single run of a lost sector, which I guess it means make sure that none of them despawn, which this is also a random thing. You have to go to every location, so it's steadily to be done, but it's pretty easy. And then you also have Mask Mayhem for wearing a festival mask, completing dungeons, raids, Master or Grandmaster Knight lost sectors, or winning in Trials of Osiris. Obviously, the masks might mess up your build, so it's hard to say whether or not this will be an easy one, but at the same time, you can just go back and do like Deepstone Crypt or an easier raid to do, and this shouldn't be too hard. And then, of course, Deathless 1, which is completing lost sectors without dying. Again, you can do this in the playlist version that doesn't have any reverse burns. If you put on a restoration type build or just play it super safe, this should be one that's pretty easy to do for the gilding as well. And the last one that's probably going to be the longest thing is collecting candy by completing activities and defeating combatants while wearing a festival mask. This is just going to be something that's going to take a long time. I ran one haunted lost sector and got 1,000 candy, and keep in mind, this was me also vacuuming up everything. You can miss it, and I don't believe it goes to the postmaster, so if you want to get the edge on this, just make sure to be a vacuum and pick up everything you can. Now, like I said, there is some stuff that I missed in the Eververse video because it was still locked by standard. Now, a lot of the masks and extra cosmetics that came to Festival of Lost is available from here. So if there was a mask that you saw in somebody else's cosmetics video that you didn't see in mine, it's because they don't come from Eververse. It comes from the actual grind. Now, to that respect as well, that's pretty much everything for Festival of the Lost. There is nothing else to really say. It's a event that there's a lot more grind than there is to learning. So there is some definitely more effective ways. I do know if you run the first mission of the Lightfall campaign and get a checkpoint towards the back end, you can do like the old cheeses and basically just load into the last half of the legendary campaign, kill the tormentor, and then just run forward. It'll give you a bunch of pages for free, or practically for free, and you can just load up on spectral pages and then go into a haunted lost sector and go. Now I know manifested pages, I'm not sure if those actually do have a limit, or spectral pages, I forget if they have a limit too, but pretty much fill up on, the guide to this is just run something that isn't haunted lost sectors, fill up on pages, and then run lost sectors until you're out of pages, and from that point, go get more pages, and once you stop needing pages, maybe just run things to get your candy, and then at that point, almost all of your triumphs should be done by the time you've gotten all of your pages. With that, my name is Matt Scorpion, and I will see you in the next video.